right. Hello, beautiful humans. I am here to talk health reclamation. And in a few minutes, I'm going to have Katie join me, who is a Vital Mind Reset grad. And we're going to talk about what happened in her lifescape and hopefully start to allow you to marinate in what it is to change your story. Because I think one of the most powerful limiting beliefs that we have is that things are just the way they are, right? And I should start by saying that this week the doors to Vital Mind Reset are open. This is my, what is that? You might ask. This is my 44-day program. It is the protocol that I used to resolve my Hashimoto's thyroiditis 10 million years ago, like 80 lifetimes ago, and that hundreds of people, thousands actually, of people have used since. And I would say, you know, when I think about the people who get the best outcomes from this program, it is people who have had chronic, like kind of low-grade symptoms, brain fog, bloating, aches and pains, hair loss, metabolism issues, hormonal issues for more than 6 months. People who have patterns of dysfunctional relationships, who are seemingly stuck in loops with their romantic partners, with their families of origin, even with things like wealth and finances, because we have to heal the nervous system in order to reclaim our power of choice and to make different decisions in those lifescapes. So that category, and then of course the one that I have been most, passionate about over the years are the really dogma defying cases of like last stop. Like I've tried everything, you know, I have multiple diagnoses, I'm on multiple meds, and I want out of the system. So these are the folks who are ready to walk away from their experience as a sick person and to come off of meds. And the protocol itself is 44 days. It's the first 2 weeks, so a lot of people are concerned about the timing. We start on Tuesday, and that's it for this year. And the first 2 weeks are very manageable, short bits of material. It's a lot of my world-class myth busting. And really it's intended to like defrag your brain so that you can start to enter into a new paradigm about what symptoms are all about and really resolve this fear of your body. Your body is you. Your symptoms are you. They are you telling you about you. And, you know, it doesn't take long to recondition this because it's like a remembrance. And then the protocol itself starts on day 16, and it consists of a very specific diet, very specific detox that I learned from my mentor, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, and also daily contemplative practice, which is also very specific, but it's only 3 minutes a day. So I'm into manageable. I'm also into like go big or go home. This is meant to be something that you do one time in your life. This is not something like you do every year, like a spring cleaning. No, this is one time in your life, and it is meant to pay dividends forevermore. So with that, let me see if I can find, Katie. And then she's going to join us, and we're going to chitty chat. Let me see. All right, Katie, I know you're here because, there you are. Okay, I got it. Yes. The technologies. Okay. So it always feels like a first date. I'm like, is she coming? There she is. She came. Hello, woman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And I would love to just dive in and let people know, if you want to start with, before you did VMR and made the decision and the choice to commit, like what was your scene? What was going on? What were your complaints? And what was your story?
Yeah, so it was about 3 years ago. So I was 28, and I actually, like 3 months before I knew about you, I wanted to get off my antidepressants. I was on a really low dose. And so I did. And then, as you know, lots of stuff happens after you do that,
That's
and
the
your
way to
body,
put it.
yeah,
Yeah, lots of.
your body, like I didn't know this, but it just kind of was, it went kind of crazy. And so I am a researcher, I'm an academic. So I went down the line and I found the 𝙑𝙪𝙚 documentary, which is actually where I found you. And I somehow went upon your YouTube and binged all the videos, bought your book.
How was my hair? It was like nicely blown out.
You were like totally doctor, which was amazing for me at the time
At the
because,
time.
yes. And I knew that I needed your program. I knew that I had to change my diet, and I knew like I'm a dancer, so, and I do yoga, so I've always been kind of attuned, but I knew that I needed to do this work. And so I like, you started to post about your program, and at that time I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Like there's no way. And
Because it was too expensive, it took too long,
yeah,
it was too intense.
just
All the
financially.
things, yeah.
And but I'm very determined, so I was like, well, I'm not going back on medication. I can't.
Mm.
So I either live like this forever and or like depressed, or I heal, which I knew I could. I feel like after watching the documentary and watching your videos, you basically, like the research you did affirmed what I already knew.
Right, always. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What were you struggling with, Katie? Was it because withdrawal can be quite an experience, as you've alluded to. So what were do you remember what your specific symptoms were at that point?
Yeah, so at that point, I would say a lot of it was in the brain. So, well, first of all, you're feeling depressed because now you're not getting the medication. So that was always a big fear. And then also just like a lot of brain issues. So I'm an academic, I teach math, so I really rely on my brain. And so I like to think that I'm intelligent, and I couldn't think, and I wasn't regulating my emotions. So there was that brain piece, right? And I felt like I used to be like the stable person who had a job and like went on vacations and had relationships, and basically I was bedridden. So I was tutoring to make ends meet, but I was not able to like survive. I had digestive issues. And then I actually got diagnosed with osteoarthritis, which I took antibiotics and Accutane, so that's part of my story too. But and I was like, I love to dance. I need to hike. Like I'm 27. What am I gonna do? Like I can't live. I want to live, right? So I think that was like the main symptoms were like brain, depression, osteoarthritis. I even had like weird things grow in my eyes from, that's a whole nother thing. But I had a ton of symptoms. I really just wanted to be happy again. I love to be outside. I love to dance, like I said. And I wasn't that person anymore. And people, like, I couldn't even be around my family. And they were just like, all they could say was, I'm so sorry. Like,
Wow.
how can I help you?
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
I love what you're alluding to because I hear this all the time. I just put a podcast out with Kelly, who is another VMR grad, and she said the same thing that you said just now, which is like I knew what I had to do, right? So we'll get into it, but there's nothing shocking, nothing unexpected, nothing really revolutionary about what happens in this program. Somehow it's the people who are aware already of the changes that are necessary to reclaim their power of choice and to unlock, this vitality. It's like you're already aware of it, but there's some point. This is the thing I'm most interested in. Like there's some point at which you're like, all right, I'm gonna do it. Like, all right, it's time. And so you said you had this resistance, like, around the fee, and probably were skeptical, I'm assuming would be healthy, right? To be like, is this even going to do anything? I'm going to put in all this effort, and is it even going to like work? Or maybe even you were thinking like, am I so messed up, right? This is also really common. Like, am I so messed up that like not even this could help me?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow you clicked the button and you joined. And I suspect that actually at that moment, the alchemy starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can like remember or think back to like what were your early experiences of like the commitment? And did you feel like relief? Did you feel hopeful? Did you feel like, all right, I'm just going to do it, put my head down and see what happens? Like, how did it go in the initial days?
Oh yeah. Like I think right when I did it, I told my family, and I don't think they knew, but I was like, I think it was near Christmas. I was like, you guys, I'm in this program. It's gonna change my life. I'm so at that point, like I had your books, I had all the videos, I had the head knowledge. I knew I needed the program to once like just be in the space. But yeah, just to be like I knew in the beginning, like by being in the program, it was gonna change my life. And I actually loved that in the beginning you guys went slow because there was so much. I was actually like student teaching at that time, and so it was great. And yeah, I noticed positive right away, right? And everyone's so amazing in the group, and they kind of redirect you if you find yourself kind of falling away from that like joy about it.
So tell me about, yeah, because there is, well, in terms of the redirection, I like to sort of touch on that because Jamie and I, you'll meet Jamie tomorrow, IG viewers. We are very passionate about conditioning and training around victim speech, right? And so like the way that we communicate about our challenges is how we begin to like weave our own experiential reality, right? And so there is a lot that has to fall away, as you're stepping into this new story. And sometimes it can feel in that uncertain space, like it's like in the chrysalis, right? Like when it's like all melted and gooey and weird, you know, there's like the faith in the butterfly. Otherwise, you would imagine that you could become a caterpillar again. Like, oh, I'm just going to cling to whatever the familiar struggle was. And for, you're young, but for some folks, like the struggle is like decades long and we get habituated to it, maybe even addicted to it, maybe even we enjoy it, like that's a more controversial perspective. But I love that, you started to feel this shift because you decided to do this. Like that sounds like you just made the decision and you started to exercise what I am, obsessed with, which is our fundamental power, our power of choice, right? So you made the choice to do it. And I also like to think about this in terms of like polarities, right? Like your inner masculine, like your inner father was like, all right, I am here and this is what shall be occurring, right? Like it's like, it wasn't like that petulant adolescent boy inside that was like, what is this? I'm not doing this. Fuck this. Like, we're not doing this. Like, maybe we are, maybe we'll try it. I don't know. It's like there was a strong core that showed up and said, okay, let's do this. Right. So did you have any like challenges to move through during the 44 days in terms of like actually implementing the program or things that came up that were unexpected, in your inner landscape?
Yeah. Challenges, I think, we all want to do it perfectly. And so when I wanted to do it perfectly, sometimes I would get like discouraged, like, okay, well, hold on. I, didn't meditate today or things like that. So I think just like that part was really a really good experience because I got to learn like, okay, it's okay to be messy. It's okay to do it imperfect, but the 3 minutes really helps it be doable. Yeah. And then did you want to know what I found helpful? Is that what you said?
Or actually the opposite, like any other struggles that you had or things, unexpected things that came up?
Yeah, I think another struggle was it like just, overwhelming a lot of the things that we have to do, change our lifestyles. It's like you said, like diet, like what you use every day. So in the beginning I was like, yeah, I don't know if I could do all this. This is a lot. I'm changing my water,
Yeah,
everything.
it's meant to be a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Also known as your life.
Yeah.
All the choices matter. Right. Yeah. No, but it is a comprehensive sweep. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, but you found a way. You found a way to make it happen, it sounds like.
And then I think I did utilize, there was coaches in there. So I had met with a coach too.
Awesome.
So that was
awesome. All right. So what did you enjoy as a result? So tell us sort of like what the shift was in terms of like literal symptoms and then I want to sort of get more nuanced in terms of, what I suspect you can relate to, which is how we can make contact with our own soul, our own spirit, and maybe even whatever you believe is grander, than us through the body. Like, how can that possibly happen? It's probably something like sex, that we have this opportunity through the body, or dance for,
Mhm.
Experience I am intimate with, like you can make contact with something so much bigger through the mundane experience of attending to your body. So
Yeah.
tell us a bit about like how you found the experience to unfold.
Yeah. So I actually got a lot of symptom relief. I fell in love with the detox protocols that we learn in the program, and did them like every day for a couple years. And I actually don't have any arthritic pain, and I don't even like associate to my diagnosis anymore. I am so active. So that was huge. A lot, the depression symptoms of the withdrawal, that went from like, it was very long to like very quick. It was probably like 2 to 3 months. I felt like different. And if anyone has ever gone through that, you feel your brain, and it was like, oh, I'm back. I'm back. And just to feel back in my brain, back in my body. And that was through a lot of the regulation, right? The diet, the detox. And then my favorite part to talk about is like how meditation changed my life, because of course I love that the symptoms subsided, and that was initially why I came, was like, I need help. But the meditations changed my life. Like, I changed my soul. Like, I actually just feel like what you always say, like, remember, I was always spiritual. I had just been gone for a while, and so I came home to myself, and I like preach every day that everyone should meditate because I actually think that's the most important thing. And just, now I feel like I have my own therapist in my brain, like telling me what to do. My inner voice is talking all the time. And I actually still, I know that it's like a 44-day reset, but I'm 3 years and I'm still doing most of it.
Amazing. I told you it was designed to be done once. That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, I certainly don't consider myself like an expert meditator. I did Kundalini yoga training, and that's where I learned the meditations that are in the program. But I don't know if you would agree that the 3 minutes, it's like a thing in Kundalini, right? Like these 3 minutes, and it's a gateway, right? Because I had been exposed to so much meditation in my like deep dive into, sort of, I guess, the new age at the time. And none of it stuck. Like, it was, I guess my nervous system wasn't in a place where I could sit for 15 minutes and be with my thoughts and get anything out of it other than like a long list of what I needed from the supermarket. And so something about the 3 minutes for me personally also was like very, very game changing. Was there like a specific meditation experience that really spoke to you?
Yes, it's the first one in the program.
Okay.
So the heart one I just do all the time. I actually feel it shifting my brain. So like during the meditation, that 3 minutes, I remember like I would sit in my chair and do it, and I would feel that difference in my brain. And then I would hear like I don't know even what we call it, right? Like your higher self, like talk all the way throughout the day, and then like the next day. And I almost feel like the meditation lasts like 3 days, but that meditation I go back to every day. It's like like if that was what I bought the program for, that was worth it.
So amazing.
Yeah.
And I love, we call it like it's like these side benefits, right? Like so many folks do the program or endeavor to change their lifestyle for a specific complaint, right? Like for something that they hate about their life. Honestly, I mean, that's why I explored this myself, because I was like, I'm not doing this whole like sick person thing, like prescription every month. Like, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And then there are all of these side benefits, like including, putting you on the path to the next chapter of your life, and really putting you in contact with yourself in the way that you described. It's like almost like you showed up, right? Like sometimes people describe it exactly as you did, which is like you felt like you have come home to yourself. Like, it's such an interesting phrase. So many people use that phrase, and it's probably also something that translates into like feeling comfortable in your own skin, or at least more comfortable in your own skin. And I wonder, because there's a lot of folks obviously who, follow my work who are identified as psychiatric patients, or people who are considering taking psych meds, or maybe just people who are ambivalent about their, primary care doctor prescribing their Zoloft kind of a thing. And I imagine that at one point you identified as somebody who needed meds, like just needed them. Like, it's just sort of like how it is. And what do you think about that now? Like, how would you contextualize that belief now?
Oh yeah. I tell everyone not to do it, but only because yeah, I did associate, like I used to go to the doctor for everything, right? Like I would antibiotics, Accutane, antidepressants, and like everyone, like we just, that was the way. And then until I realized that a lot of my symptoms were actually from that, and I was sleeping all day. And now it's so nice because I don't even think about medicine, right? And to the point where I don't even take Advil. But that's because like in the program I learned, like you said, like self-care. Like I know, like, okay, if I'm feeling this, like water, detox, diet, sleep, right? And so I no longer feel like I need to, like that word, like outsource to the medical, fields, if something could catastrophic happened, of course. But I know that I like have the tools, and it takes a while to do that switch, right? Because I actually did want to like keep going back. I was like, maybe I'll just go back on meds. It's easier than meditating and eating healthy.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Initially it is anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, now I always, I do give my opinion and say, like, I don't think that's the way. And honestly, the way I saw was that there's no way out of it. Like, my body was eventually getting used to it, and then I would just get depressed again. So I knew cognitively there's no way I'm never going to be free of this depression if I don't deal with it. And so I knew it was bigger than the medication, because the medication could only take you so far.
Yeah, it's a really common trap that's like substantiated by the literature, which is that these medications, well, first of all, they don't work for the reasons that we're told they do. If they have an effect, the effect is not long lasting. And then they are, for most, I would say, extremely challenging to discontinue if you've been on them for longer than 2 months. And so you're in this bind, right? Like taking something that is incompletely, sufficient, and then also having a really hard time coming off of it. And a lot of people ask, like, oh, well, if I've already come off of medications, but I'm in the withdrawal window, like, would I do this program? Or, what if I'm thinking about coming off? Like, when do I come off? When do I do the program? And basically, like, what I have found is that it's best, obviously, to do the program first. That's what I learned the hard way in my private practice, and not to touch your medication until the program's over. However, I have seen that for a lot of folks who are in the process of post last dose withdrawal, that it's still stabilizing. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like anytime you can send your system that signal of safety from this comprehensive place, and anytime you participate in a field of belief that says like this is actually possible, and look at the published data and look at the testimonials, and people have walked this path before you, like this is available to you, then that starts to shift your system into regeneration, and the rest is history. So obviously the field of belief and the way that you were attracted to folks like me who hold a certain I don't know, like sort of vigilance around the way we speak and think and what it is that we are giving our life force to. It's sometimes all that's needed, to unlock that for you. So I love that you become like an activist in your own right. This is not uncommon. And more importantly, that you have an experience of yourself as really, it sounds like super free from the confines that, who knows, maybe you were getting something out of it and now you've found other ways to meet your needs, and you don't have this relationship to the system, to your diagnoses, and certainly to the pharmaceutical industry that you once had. And all that occurred was that you prioritized financially, time-wise, and attention-wise. You prioritized you. That's like literally all that happened, because what you did in the time of the, you know, month and a half was essentially just take care of yourself, right? Like just make choices to care for yourself. There's no special supplements, like there's no special machinery, there's like no special gurus, like there's no special nothing. Like it's literally just holding you accountable in a group setting, like to the prioritization of yourself. And I just think that does something, it accelerates a maturation, you know, like so we can become the adults like we actually are, instead of these like old, you know, childhood patterns, I think, of dependency that sometimes get acted out with the system, you know. So
when I'm saying in the program, you know, we do go into the program in deep fight or flight, and I wanted to see instant results, but there was a lot of like, trust the process, trust that like we're guiding you into that. And I did have to work on that piece and believing. And I didn't even realize, you know, that part of healing is the believing.
yeah.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that reminded me of that piece. Like I had to do that work in the program to actually think I was going to heal. And once I did, right, then the work started, the body started changing.
Yeah, I've really, like I said, been very interested in like the readiness to change, and expand. And I wonder if it's like, you know, you have this part that hates being sick, hates being in pain, you know, hates having brain fog and cognitive issues, hates feeling, you know, suppressed and depressed. And then you have this other part that is like, you know, this is just the way it is. Stop complaining. Like, it's fine. Just like, you know, everybody has their problems, you know, so you have these parts in tension. And the only way we can make change is like when the parts come to a consensus, because otherwise, right, like one is going to win out, then the other is going to come online for a few hours, and you know, it's like this inner war. And it seems like, you know, you created the space for those parts to come to a consensus and just see what happens, right? Like just sort of like walk into the unknown, which I think for many of us at points in our life is way worse than the devil we know, right? Like, and that is the courage that I witness, you know, in folks like you. And I mean, I live for these stories. I literally live for these stories. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your story. I saw one question come up, but I sort of feel like you answer it, which was, you know, what do you think made you free of pain? I don't know if she's wondering if you have like a theory. So I have my like, you know, scientific perspective on that, you know, sort of like just the anti-inflammatory nature of the protocol, but maybe you feel like there was something specific that you did and you could connect the way that the pain subsided to a particular intervention, or if it was just sort of like everything.
It was everything. I loved the detox. I think the most was it sped it up, but it was everything.
Okay, amazing. And yes, somebody else is asking about other diagnoses. Yes, I have on my outcomes page. So you just go to kellybroganmd.com. So you can go to the pinned link and then hang out there. Otherwise, on the outcomes page, you can see there. I have all sorts of published reports, actually, because I did that for sport for a few years and just published these cases because I became really convinced that if people know what's possible, you know, that there are outcomes in bipolar schizophrenia, in lupus, in asthma, you know, in IBS, in, you know, all manner of so-called chronic illness. If you know what's possible, then you can start to attract your particular, you know, path into another story. So yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you, Katie, and anyone who is inspired to walk this path along with us. You know, the doors are open until Monday, and until Friday, we have 2 months of post-VMR support in Vital Life Project that are being thrown in as a gift. And the link is pinned. Otherwise, you can find it in my bio. And I hope to see so many of you beauties there, because if this feels like it ignites a yes, it's something to listen to. That's actually where the healing begins. And I think you would agree. So awesome, Katie. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Ciao.